Today, I want to talk to you guys about the idea of home, how we can be homesick, and how we can return to ourselves when we're trying to make a decision and we're trying to figure out, like, who do we want to be. It really is this gentle, beautiful action of coming home to ourselves. When I was growing up in Naperville, Illinois, I had two distinct lives. One life was like the American life. Okay, go to Taco Bell, eat cheeseburgers, hang out with my American friends. And the other life was this Chinese community life. At that time in the 80s, in like the Chicago suburb area, there were so many Chinese, Taiwanese, Cantonese families coming over from Asia and settling in Chicago. It almost felt like a world within a world. Like, I went to this summer camp called Macy's, and it was like I don't remember exactly what it stood for. It was like Mid-Atlantic Chinese Cultural Summer Camp something, okay? It was like all of the Chinese parents would send their kids to this 1 week sleepover camp at Lake Forest College. It was like the most amazing, exciting experience of my life. But I sort of grew up with this duality. And I grew up with this idea that you were different people. You were different people all the time. So I'll give you an example. With my Chinese friends, I was allowed to have sleepovers. And I look back and I'm like, okay, this was probably because my parents felt safe. They knew the other parents. They knew that they were like good Taiwanese families or whatnot. And so they would like let me stay the night. Okay. In contrast, like I was never allowed to have a sleepover with any of like the neighborhood kids or American kids. So there were just these like separations. There were these different ways. And almost every weekend, my parents would have some kind of like Chinese cultural party. Like it was like basically karaoke and food. Okay. And I obviously knew I was Chinese. Like my dad was the principal of the Chinese school, and we would go, and every Sunday, we would drive to this middle school and we would take over the middle school, and my mom was a teacher at the school, and we would have like cultural dance lessons. We would have these like fan dances. You could play badminton. Like it was a whole thing. Okay. So I kind of grew up already knowing how to kind of like move between different cultural spaces, if that makes sense. And all of this got really accelerated when I was 12 years old. Okay. So I just finished 6th grade. I was in 6th grade. And we would like visit Asia maybe once every 2 years. Like we'd go back to Taiwan or we'd go back to Hong Kong. So we'd visit, but I didn't know the language. Yes, I was in Chinese school, but like that shit didn't stick. Okay, it just didn't. And my dad sat us down. We were having dinner and he was like, I got a job in Hong Kong. It's a great job. And so we're going to move. And I've told this story so many times because, just to answer the question of like, oh, where are you from? It's like not straightforward for me because we moved around so much when I was a kid. So before we even lived in Naperville, like we had lived in Hong Kong, then we moved to a town called Deerfield, Illinois, then moved to Naperville, and then from Naperville moved to Hong Kong, right? So I'm going into 7th grade. I moved to Hong Kong, was in Hong Kong for 3 years. And then after I finished 9th grade, moved to Beijing, China, because my dad got another big job in mainland China. So this is my experience. So when people ask me, where are you from? Like, I don't even know how to answer the question. Now I'm older. I've had a whole life that I've lived. And I usually just say, oh, I'm from New York, because that was like the longest place I'd ever lived in one place. After college, I lived there for 12, 13 years. So to me, I'm like, okay, after 10 years, you're a New Yorker, so this is where I'm going to be. I tell you this to say, for much of my life, I felt that decisions happened to me. I'm 12. I don't get a say in where we live. I don't get to decide. I remember sobbing, crying, because I thought that I was going to have to leave my cat, Tiger, behind. That was my biggest concern. You're just young. You don't know. And then when I was 15 and uprooted again, I also was just kind of like, okay, like, that's cool. That's good. My brother was graduating from high school at that time, my older brother. So I was used to change. I was used to this feeling of kind of floating through and not being rooted anywhere. But like all things that are really impactful to us as kids, I am sort of obsessed now with this idea of home. I'm obsessed with this idea of having a home, like a physical home, right? I'm a homebody, like I'm always home now. And I'm also obsessed with the idea of ancestral home. And then kind of emotionally speaking, professionally, I'm a career coach. So I'm helping people navigate change and navigate things in their career, right? But a lot of, if we were to look at spiritually what's actually happening, I think what I'm really doing is I'm helping people go home. If I could describe my life's work, it's to find a home. And that is actually really kind of sad because maybe that's just what I am looking for. And I think about, okay, so this year was one of the biggest years of my life. So much amazing change has happened. And sorry, I'm like didn't expect to get emotional, but like I also am new to YouTube, so I just felt like I wanted to make this video. I'm new to it. I'm still learning how to edit. I'm still learning how to talk. People have been telling me in my comments, you don't look at the camera. What's wrong with you? You say the word like too much. Like, I just did it. And so I'm trying to, again, come home to myself in a way that just feels real. I have no agenda. Like, I just want to be here. But I think about this idea of home a lot, and I think that if I were to describe the work that I do and the work that is the most important work in my life, it's the act of coming home to yourself. I think I don't hold any ill will. Like, my parents had a great opportunity to move back to they weren't home when they were in the US, so they had the great opportunity to go home. I don't blame them, you know. One of the biggest challenges for me was the language. So feeling alienated from the very language that is my ancestral language. And like, 我可以说中文, like I can speak Chinese, 我可以講廣東話, like I can speak Cantonese. It's, if you know, that's broken. Like, I have an American accent when I speak that way, right? Because I grew up in the US. So feeling alienated to your own language and wanting desperately to belong somewhere. And also, if you are the child of immigrants, you might understand this. That feeling, like, my parents speak to me, there's never going to be a perfect communication because my parents speak to me in their second or third, like English is their second or third language. So there are some expressions or something, like there's some thing that I will never connect with my parents on because they can't speak it in perfect English. And if they speak it in their native tongue, I won't understand it. So it's this constant act of translation. And I think that actually does have a lot to do with my calling, or like what I do in supporting people to communicate their own messages, is because I have had to translate my whole life. I can barely talk to my own parents. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get really good at understanding the deeper meaning of what people are trying to say when they don't have the words to say it. Okay, so this pain, these pains become your gift. And it becomes something that is your power. Your greatest weakness becomes your greatest power. This past year has been one of the most magical times of my life. It wasn't intentional. It just all kind of happened this way. My husband had this idea. He was like, okay, let's go back to Chicago. Let's bring your parents. We can show the kids like your childhood home. Like, of course, other people live there. So I'm literally just like doing the drive-by, at night. And I'm telling you, I haven't been back to Naperville in decades, okay? Because why would what am I gonna do? Just hang out? Like, I don't, my parents moved back to China. Like, there's nothing anchoring me there. So we went to the house that I grew up in. I drove by, I saw the baby tree that I planted had grown into this like humongous tree. Like, it was kind of dark when we did our drive-by, so I couldn't necessarily, and plus, like, you don't want to be a creep, people live there now. But I did it. I like touched the soil, like my feet were on the same grass, and in some ways it was like, oh, I didn't make this up. Like, this all really happened. This is the spot where I stood as I was waiting for the school bus, and this is the spot that I dream of when I have these anxiety dreams that I'm going to miss the bus. This is like the physical place that my mind takes me back to, right? Couple months later, I'm actually not 100% clear on the timeline. Maybe it was but it was all within the same year, okay? In October, I was planning a trip for my parents. They were going to go back to Hong Kong because they had to do some like Hong Kong ID, like visa stuff. Okay. No, it was like, if you don't go back and get your Hong Kong ID fixed, like they're going back to get their Hong Kong ID. And I'm like booking the tickets for them, because also if you are the daughter of immigrant parents, you're also their secretary. So if you know, you know. I'm booking the tickets for them on united.com, and I'm like choosing the seats, and I'm like, okay, let's try to go for at least premium economy, because like they're getting old, and it's just a little more comfortable to have a little more space. So I'm like I'm like doing all the financials, looking at like, okay, well, how much would this seat cost versus that seat? I'm looking at all of it, and I get their tickets. And I realize, and maybe it's this sense of like, how much more time am I going to have to go back there? And I realized, I was like, I want to go back there. I texted my husband. I was like, I just booked the tickets for my parents to go to Hong Kong, just like an everyday thing. And then I texted again. I was like, wait, I think I want to go. I had also not been to back to Hong Kong in ages. And I just remember being like pulled, like I couldn't help it. I was like, I just want to go. It's been 20 years. The last time I was there, I was a junior in college. So it was 2003. Like, that was a long ass time ago. Why haven't you been there in so long? Like, you might ask me. Okay, the reason is because my parents actually moved to Beijing. And so every time I would like go home, go visit them, it would be to go back to Beijing. And if you guys know the geography, it's like the distance between maybe Texas and New York. Like, if you're going to Beijing, you're like not really stopping over in Hong Kong. Like, maybe you are, but I wasn't. So again, it was one of these things where I was like, I think I want to go. And then I went. And when I tell you guys, I was so happy. I was home. It was like not even just the childhood home. It was like the ancestral home. We went to visit my grandfather has passed away, but his sister, she's like 90 something. We went to, it's like deep Kowloon, okay? Taking like multiple MTRs, like getting off in Kowloon, going to one of these like old school apartment buildings. Met with her, went to Maxim's, got her a little cake, like brought the cake, you know, drank tea with her. She was getting old, so she had to like take a nap in the middle of it. So, but the whole time I had such a fucking smile on my face. I was just like, I mean, listen, obviously you like travel alone with your parents. Like there's also like little dramas that happen, but I generally was like, oh, this is so amazing. Like I'm living for this. The food, the people, the language, like I was like picking up my Cantonese again, just being on the MTR. Like I rode the Star Ferry. Like we had wonton noodles, we had roast duck, like we went to Mongkok. Like we just did all the things. Okay. Plus, we were staying in, like, a nice hotel. It was just perfect. It was perfect. Oh, and then the hotel. Get this. So, the hotel, this is, like, 5-star. I'll just tell you. We stayed at the St. Regis Hotel because I had some, like, deal with, like, my Marriott points, okay? So, we're staying at the St. Regis, which is, like, outrageously nice, okay? But second night that we're there, the air conditioning breaks, and even though it's October, it's like Hong Kong is a humid ass city, and it's a tropical like city, so it's hot. It's like 85 degrees outside, okay, Fahrenheit. So it's hot, and I'm like in this hotel room and I'm sweating, and I'm like, what? Like, why? I think I'm paying a lot for this. This is not okay. But of course, you know, your girl turns every bad situation into a good one. I'm like on the phone with the hotel manager. Hey, just like wanted to check like what's going on. The hotel people are like coming into my room, and like, by the way, as they're coming into my room, they're like, oh, lai ho, and I'm like, oh, hi, ni hao, and then they're like, oh, do you want us to speak Mandarin, Cantonese, or English? And I'm like, oh, any is fine. And then they're like, what? They're so nice. They're like coming to my room. A guy with a ladder comes in. He's like his waist is inside the wall. He's peeking up there. Clear, like, it's just broken. And it's the whole hotel. It's the whole fucking hotel. AC's broken. But I was also just like, I didn't make a big fuss, but I also didn't not make a fuss. I was like, hi, so just so you know, I have not been back to Hong Kong in 20 years, and like of all the hotels, I picked the St. Regis because it got the best reviews. You guys are like the best hotel in Hong Kong, and I really wanted to make this trip nice for my parents, so just so you know, can you please get this fixed? Or if not, like, what are we gonna like? Is there the whole hotel? So you can't be that demanding, you know. So the guy, the hotel manager guy, like eventually calls me back like 40 minutes later. Oh my god, they're so nice too. They like sent up. They're like, can we send you up a drink? I'm like, okay, I don't drink alcohol, just because I'm like sensitive and I'm gonna have allergies to it, but. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. What do you have? They're like, oh, we could do iced tea. I'm like, great. Send up an iced tea. They have in Hong Kong, they have like iced tea with lemon, and then they have this like sugar syrup that you pour in. So it was like fabulous. I'm like sipping on that, but I'm still sweating. The guy calls me. He's like, oh, just so you know, we got it fixed. I was like, oh, this is so great. I start like feeling the AC like coming back on. And then he's like, you know, for your inconvenience, like we're going to comp you free breakfast at the hotel for the remainder of your stay. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. He's like, because I understand it's you, Miss Tang, and then your parents as well. I was like, yes. He was like, okay, so that's comped breakfast for the 3 of you for the next 3 nights. I'm doing the math because I'm crazy. I'm doing the math. I'm like, oh my god, breakfast is like $100 a person times 3 people times 3 nights. Oh my god, did I just get like $900 worth of breakfast because their AC went out for 45 minutes? Like, this is amazing. So my parents come back because they actually had gone to dinner with a friend. My parents come back and I'm like, you'll never guess what happened. So all three of us are like celebrating, because also I could have signed up for the hotel breakfast, but you would have had to pay for that. And I opted not to do it. And then I immediately regretted it because I was like, wait, like it would have been so nice. So then I was like, guess what we got? So anyway, that just was, when I think about Hong Kong, I just think about those breakfasts because it's incredible. You go downstairs. First off, there's like no one eating breakfast because it's a like fancy ass hotel. So you get this huge space to yourself. You could like literally have space for 10 people, but it's like 3 of you. And then they bring out this, I'm sorry, this whole video is just about this breakfast, but it'll be worth it, I promise. So they bring out this menu and you look at the menu and there's Eastern food, Asian cuisine, and then Western cuisine. And the way it works is it's a la carte, but it's all you can eat. I'm like, damn, they just lost all their money. They don't even know what they just got themselves into. You got 3 hungry, greedy people that you just gave free, unlimited, all you can eat buffet to. Like, forget it. We're never leaving. So, and here's the most insane part. If you guys know Asian food, okay. So they have a Japanese breakfast set meal, a Western breakfast, and then a Chinese breakfast set meal. Okay. And then you can order whatever, you could have one of each every day. They're like these sets that come. But then the waiter, the like amazing person who worked there was like, hey, did you know whatever you like, you could just tell me and I'll just go get more of. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, like if you like that piece of hagao in your Chinese set, you could just order more of that. And we're like, excuse me, what? So of course my dad, he's ordering a Japanese set, which comes with like rice, salmon, miso soup, the little pickled vegetables. He's ordering Western meal. He's ordering cappuccino. He's ordering all the things. Then, of course, my mom comes down. She's there. She's like, okay, I'll try the Chinese set. She's like, oh my God, this hagao is like really actually quite good. It's like delicate skin, big shrimps. She's like, can I just get like 3 more? 3 more shrimps? Okay. Anyway, suffice to say, we had an amazing time. And so, okay, what I was trying to explain before I went on this dim sum tangent is that I went home to Naperville. I saw the pink skies, the Chicago sunset, which, you know how sometimes you like haven't been to a place in 20 years and then you go back and you're like, oh my God, this like small detail that was such a part of my everyday, I haven't even thought of in so long. And then like, I felt that way. I nudged my husband. I was like, oh my God, these skies. I forgot about the skies. I forgot about the Illinois sunset Midwestern cornfield skies. Like, it's so nice. I feel at home. Okay. In the same year, I'm also going back to Hong Kong. I'm basically having luxury dim sum. Okay. Insane. I'm there and it feels like I am healing something. I feel like I'm healing something that I didn't even know I wanted to heal. It's just all happening. And I think when I came back from Hong Kong, it's like I just had clarity. I feel like I needed to do the around the world tour of all the places that I had lived to feel something. I don't know. It's like I threaded the pages together, or I grounded myself, or there was just something so juicy and beautiful about it. And that is when everything started happening for me in terms of the writing and the TikTok taking off and just feeling honestly happier, and then writing this journal, and it just all took off. Okay. So what is the point of this video? Okay, the point of this video is to hope that your air conditioning at a fancy hotel breaks and that they have great customer service. No. The point of this video is to say a lot of the work that I do, or a lot of like what's important to me, is helping people come back home to themselves. okay? Because when I was growing up and when I was moving all around the world, right, there wasn't stability. I was moving every 3 years. Literally, like, furniture would be donated, new furniture would be purchased. Like, there was so much, and granted, I'm very privileged, so I'm not gonna, obviously it was like we were moving towards something. It's not like we were, homeless or something. Like, we were really lucky. But at the same time, there was so much change that what happened was I started to create a very deep interior world. I couldn't be home in a specific place. I used to wish to go back. Like, when I was in Hong Kong, I was like, I wish I just could go back to Naperville all the time. I missed my friends. I used to call them long distance. I mean, I really missed them. I used to think it was almost like I was in two places at once. I used to have these experiences at my new school and then think to myself, oh man, like, what would Amy think about this? Or what would Michelle think about? I would like think about my old friends. It was like sad. But what ended up happening is that when you are in these external states of transition, often the way I dealt with it is I created a very rich interior life for myself. And I created a place where, I also think this is because the language was so different. Like, when I first moved to Beijing, I didn't speak Mandarin. I had learned it in school, but I didn't really speak it. And so for the first 6 months to a year, like, everywhere I would go, I literally did not understand what people were saying. So you become, it's an insulating experience because, yes, things are happening around you, but you have to rely so much on your own inner voice that you can't, like, you have to be strong inside because there's so much stuff happening out there. Yeah. So that when it came to, it primed me. When it came to big changes later in life, I was able to actually, like, I wasn't flustered, Like, when my husband was like, hey, how do you feel about moving across the country for a great job opportunity? I was like, great. I'm very good at change. So let me pack all the boxes. Let's get ready to go. Like, I'm that's how I'm wired. So again, your pain becomes your strength. I know these YouTube videos are supposed to have a point. I know they're supposed to have like a learning. I'm just not there yet. I just wanted to share those stories with you guys. And, maybe in future videos, I will have a cleaner message, or some kind of bullet points or something. Bullet points. Oh my gosh. By the way, I want to tell you guys, it's the funniest thing. Did you know, like, after you upload a YouTube video that it says, there could be like an AI summary of your video and you can like read back the summary? I was reading back a summary of one of my previous videos where I'm talking about like my relationship with writing and like getting the book deal and all of that. And the narrative is so humbling. YouTube AI was like, girl questions her ability and confidence to be able to execute on da-da-da. Like, then it's like, after internet virality, she discovers her true voice. I was like, why does YouTube have to do me so dirty like that? Oh my God. Why is it reading me so well? I was like, don't look at me. So anyway, I'm very much looking forward to what the hell YouTube is gonna AI like summary this video. It's gonna be like, after eating copious amounts of dim sum, the poster realized that home is an internal landscape created through your own interiority and self-defined experience. Oh my God, fuck this. Okay, bye.